Sirius Space Services is a space startup based near Paris in France. It's building reusable mini launchers that it will soon be able to send into space at a high rate, thanks to the use of 3D printing. The company's plan is to offer agile, affordable and sustainable launch services to customers looking to launch small to medium-sized satellites. The company is working on providing a 100% reusable launch service in the future. The young co-founder, Antoine Fourcade, was only 18 years old when he started the Sirius startup. That's 6 years younger than Elon Musk when he started his first business. This French startup wants to ensure the sovereignty of Europe through a competitive launch service in the commercial market. Sirius Space Services is a double winner of the mini and micro launcher call for projects as part of France 2030. Their ambition is making access to space more sustainable through a range of reusable launchers. The company is funded by some heavyweight organisations including Ariane Group, ESA, the European Space Agency, and CNES, the French Space Agency. Sirius Space Services is one of the 4 French companies highlighted to potentially benefit from a significant investment under the France 2030 plan, aimed at fostering new space initiatives, with conditions tied to successful first launches between 2026 and 2028. More on that later. Let's go over the technology Sirius is using in their rockets and engines. Star 1, the engine that powers the rockets. Star 1 is their flight-scale rocket engine, conceived to power Sirius launcher family. Powered by liquid methane and liquid oxygen, it generates a vacuum thrust of 55 kilonewtons. Star 1 core is composed by a nickel-based superalloy injection head and a copper alloy combustion chamber, both produced with laser powder bed fusion process. 85% of the engine is 3D printed, and it's 100% developed in-house by the Sirius team. The Star 1 engine completed a 60-second duration engine test in December 2023. Let's now look at the Sirius launch vehicles. Sirius is developing a range of rockets for the small and medium-sized satellites. Let's take a look at these vehicles and their capabilities. To streamline development and offer competitive launch costs, they mostly use space-qualified COTS components. COTS means commercial off-the-shelf. A core aim for Sirius is the reusability of launch components, with a long-term goal of achieving 100% reusability. The Sirius 13 and the larger Sirius 15 rockets are engineered to be partially reusable, with the Sirius 15 using 4 recoverable strap-on boosters. Their launchers are powered by environmentally friendly LOX and liquid methane, that's liquid oxygen and liquid methane propellants. Metal additive manufacturing is used, or 3D printing as it's more commonly called. Right from the beginning, Sirius has used 3D printing to increase the design freedom, improve performance, reduce mass and waste, and simplify the assembly process. As stated previously, 85% of the Star 1 engine is 3D printed. To expand the capabilities of the Sirius range, the first stage of Sirius 1 is a common element between all vehicles, with the larger rockets gaining additional boosters, 2 in the case of Sirius 13 and 4 for the Sirius 15. All propulsion for these launchers comes from the Star 1 engine, which features a nozzle extension tailored for optimal performance in both first and second stages. The Sirius 1 is the smallest rocket that can put 175 kilos, that's 386 pounds, into a 500 km sun-synchronous orbit. It's 25 meters tall and has a liftoff mass of 29 tons. The maiden flight of Sirius 1 is anticipated to be in 2026. Moving on to the Sirius 13, it's the bigger brother of the Sirius 1. It can lift 700 kilos, that's 1,543 pounds, into a 500 km SSO orbit. It's the same height at 25 meters tall and has a liftoff mass of 77 tons. The Sirius 13 will use 2 boosters to provide the extra boost needed for the heavier payload. Maiden flight is expected in 2027. The largest rocket offered by Sirius is the Sirius 15. It can lift 1,100 kilos, that's 2,425 pounds, into a 500 km sun-synchronous orbit. This is similar to other European competitors such as Rocket Factory Augsburg and ISAR Aerospace. It's 28 meters tall and has a liftoff mass of 124 tons. It uses 4 side boosters and should be launching in 2028. Okay, now we are familiar with the engines and rockets, let's move on to the milestones. The company is young, but it's managed to achieve some milestones already. In December 2023, the hot-fired test of the Star 1 engine. A significant milestone for Sirius Space was the successful 60-second hot-fire test of their Star 1 version 2 engine, conducted at facilities in Germany and France. This test demonstrated the engine's capabilities including stability, thrust performance, and the effectiveness of its regenerative cooling system. In March 2024, France announced an investment of €400 million to fund 4 French space startups, with Sirius Space Services being amongst one of the selected companies. This initiative is part of a broader move where the French government plans to secure initial launches from these brand new commercial space startups. The recipients of this substantial financial support are Hyperspace, Latitude, Sirius Space Services, and MayaSpace. Each company is set to receive an initial payment to book these future flights. However, the lion's share of the €400 million funded through the France 2030 program hinges on a critical condition. These startups must successfully execute a maiden flight of their rockets sometime between 2026 and 2028. This strategy implies that while the government's backing provides a significant boost, the core development funding for these startups will still need to come from alternative public funding sources or private investments. In August 2024, Sirius Space secures Launchpad in Australia. Sirius Space Services has signed an agreement with Equatorial Launch Australia to secure a launch facility at the company's Arnhem Space Centre in Australia. The company announced at the World Space Business Week conference in Paris that it had secured access to the Australian launch site. The company will take up residence at Arnhem Space Centre's Launch Complex No. 3, which the company has renamed Le Mans. According to Sirius Space, one of the main reasons for selecting this site is the flexibility it gives for launching into a wide range of orbital inclinations. Construction of the launch complex will begin in October 2024, with the company aiming to have the launch pad operational by the second half of 2025. The first launch of Sirius 1 on a ballistic flight will be in 2026, with launches in 2027 on bigger rockets. Sirius Space already has a launch facility at the French Guiana Space Centre, where Ariane 6 launches from. With its new launch pad in Australia, they're aiming for 18 missions per year, providing they can find enough customers and build rockets quickly enough, of course. Upcoming events for Sirius Space Services: launch of Sirius 1 in 2026, followed by Sirius 13 in 2027, and Sirius 15 in 2028. Sirius Space needs to launch a rocket between 2026 and 2028 to receive the majority of the funding promised by the French government in the France 2030 plan. We'll keep you up to date on Sirius Space as always. Okay, that's it for this week. Be sure to subscribe to get the latest news on commercial space startups around the globe. From rocket launchers to space stations, orbital tugs, lunar landers and more. If it's a commercial space startup, we cover it. See you soon.